Hey, what's up? This is Laidback Luke, DJ and producer, Kung Fu athlete, and dedicated dad. This Friday, my new track came out and it sounds a little bit like this. And I'm gonna make it sound like this. So the thing with the original version, although it's really nice to cruise to and listen to it in the background, I also want to be able to DJ it and play it out at festivals and big clubs and whatnot. And so in this video, I will take you through the process as to how I made this VIP remix. And I have to be honest with you, it's not rocket science here. But what I do want is to dive deeper into how I processed everything, where I got the sounds from, how I mastered it. So strap in as we deep dive in right now. Okay, so before I start, I always have a concept. There's this future looming up on the horizon where Electro House is gonna come back. And I figured my VIP remix should be Electro House meets techno, because techno is huge right now. I didn't want to go up tempo with it. What I basically wanted from the techno side is the energy, the drive. So a big techno kick with an electro lead, and within that lead I wanted some Laidback Luke, some OG Laidback Luke in there, so a bit of pitch shifting as well. All right, so let's dive into the lead. And it's funny, it's called SY Buka, and I use the SY to indicate that it's about a synth, and the Buka comes from the Silent 1 synth up there in tab number 2. So this is what it sounds like. And there's this automation for the cutoff as well. Let's have a look at that, because it looks like this. So within the track, I open it and close it, give it some movement. Over here it closes. And this is very typical of the Electro House, where you just open it and close it and give it that type of dynamic. I'll take you through the chain here really quick. I have the Laidback Limiter on here actually, so you don't need to put it on the master. You can also put it on separate channels if you want. I'm actually only using it to give it some warmth out in the mid-low frequencies, give it some clipping. So that's basically this, if I solo it out. We got a little EQ going on, and just note that I have my Pro Q3 on the piano roll setting, so that I am literally taking away the frequencies and boosting the frequencies in the key of the track. Got the track spacer plugin here, which is one of my best kept secrets in these last couple of years. This is actually the kick drum carving its way into the signal. And I have a second track spacer, which is actually linked to the vocal of the track, because the vocal plays also in the drop for those two to not clash. So this is actually the vocal going on, left or right. And then a wider plugin for some extra width. Just very simple. It's the Polyverse Infected Mushroom wider plugin. All right, let's go to the sub, which is the same exact MIDI notes as the lead, but now it's this one. And this also comes out of the Silent synth. And it's the BS Deep Sub Bass, which I've been using a ton over these years. And it's just a solid low layer. And I guess you could do this in Serum as well, but this one hits differently. So again, on here, I have a Laidback Limiter doing a sort of a similar thing in the low mid frequencies. Transient Designer Plus, just to take away a little bit of the tail of the bass line. We don't need any high frequencies in the sub bass. So I'm EQing that out all over here. And again, a track spacer on the kick drum. And now on the lead itself, I also have a medium bass line. And just look at this EQ right here. This is basically all I need from it. Now I want to show you this plugin, a handy dandy Laidback Clipper, and more news on this soon. But this is basically just one of the channels, one of the clipping channels as a solo, and soon to be free plugin that you can use. And the beauty of this clipper is that when you turn up the clipping, the exact volume of the original signal stays. With this, you can listen to the signal unbiased instead of it just being louder and you thinking it's much better. And then so all together, the lead sounds like this. Let's add the kick. Yeah, so let's talk about this kick really quick. It's the techno kick that I was looking for. Just found this on Splice, just dragged it into my sampler right here. Added a little Laidback Clipper on here as well, so let's listen out what it actually does, right? So instead of 10%, I'll go harder. That is the clipping signal. It's just cutting the tops off, right? And so when adjusting with the attack and release, you can actually make it sound nice and warm. Let's put this back to 10. Here's something interesting I did with the kick and the sub bass. I put a FabFilter Pro Q on both the channels. Within here, I can have a look at both the sub and the kick drum at the same time. So this is the bass line right here, the sub bass. And you see over in the red parts where they meet and where they collide. So therefore you can EQ parts that need a bit of highlighting and really properly sculpt your kick and your bass to work together the best. I also added this little string to make it a little bit more exciting. It's just one note. It's basically this. I like those things in the background where it's just subtle layers of extra that add up to the whole thing, right? And then when it comes to percussion, nowadays I'm quite lazy because there's just so much on Splice, and shout out Splice as well. You can get my Laidback Limiter plugin on there as well. But top loops. This one does this in the background while I also have a 909 ride going, which is typically techno. Both I have panned, like the ride goes to the left and then the top loop goes to the right, nice and wide in a very natural way. Both sound like this. So I like that little almost suction that it gives on the top loop. Don't go anywhere. I have a bonus tip as well. It's a free plugin, something I use a lot and use all the way at the end of my master chain. And so it's interesting. You see this effect group. I actually use this from the original track. So a lot of the effects you hear are from the original. This as well. And it gives some percussive effects as well. That one I really liked from the original. So I use that. And then we have some vocal effects as well, which I used from the original. And I just needed to cut it to fit this energetic mix much better. Stay tuned because I will go in depth into mastering this track. If you love seeing a producer video by me again, make sure to hit me with a like, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell as well. And that's why I need those likes. If you give me a lot of likes, then I will keep on making these videos and I will make more of them. All right, so let's go to a little bit of mastering because in total everything sounds like this, right? And we could talk about the structure, but usually when I structure tracks, I imagine myself DJing, not even listening to the track in my car, but I'm DJing, I'm in the club. Sometimes I even get up and dance, and it's like, okay, so where are we at? What do we want to do? And so now I've just finished this and say in a couple of hours I have a DJ set. I do not want to bring it to a mastering engineer, which shout out all the mastering engineers because mastering is an art, but I want to play it out. I want to test it out. So I can do my own quick and fast masters as well as the regular masters. But I want to empower you that if you want to play your track out, maybe you should. And a really handy tool with this is the Laidback Limiter. I made it for myself to be able to make masters real quick. And if you want to try it out for free, you can try it out for 14 days for free. Go to my website for it. It's laidbacklimiter.com. Check it out, download it, try it, see if you like it. And maybe you will, but maybe you won't. It won't hurt to try, right? You'll see bunch of laid-back limiting going on here as we go to the pre-master channel. Nowadays, I kind of look at the frequencies more than I reference it with other tracks. And so I'll tell you more about that real soon. This is the master channel, and I have multiple laid-back limiters going on, doing the thing again where it's the clipping on the multi-band. I have a lot of boost going on because all the stems of the original track were really low, so I boosted the overall signal, but it's not limiting right now. Okay, I lied. It is barely limiting. So it's just touching the peaks. And obviously these peaks are being clipped out now as well. So that is a little bit of volume gain on the end part of your mastering chain. Another laid-back limiter doing just the clipping, but on the very mid-highs and the high end as well. And why didn't I do that on the other side? Because over here I was clipping in these frequency ranges, and over here I want it to be these frequency ranges. So now I just have 2 on my master chain. How about that? And not even 2, because on the end I'll have 1 more. I want to give a shout out to Hardwell because this plugin is his plugin. It's the space control and it's perfect to shape your stereo image. Some Ozone 7 harmonic exciting here. Do note it's on the side setting right here. So this means only the stereo image of all the high frequencies are being distorted or excited. Is sometimes you have these tracks that something is happening in the hi-hats and in the stereo, and it's like, it's nice, it's juicy. This is what I do for it. Some stereo sculpting with just the EQs here. And then all the way on the end of the mix, I was going through the arrangement of this track, just checking emails and whatnot. And I was like, oh, it needs some extra low mid frequency. And with the SSL EQ, it just hits right. If you're thinking, oh, it needs a bit more mid high, you can tweak this. Somehow this EQ always hits right. The Laidback Limiter on the very end with 0 clipping going on and just the boost. And the secret of my Laidback Limiter, the secret preset is LBL Secret Sauce. This is the ultimate setting for the limiter and will ensure you getting those loudness levels that professional tracks have, so you can test out your track immediately. And here's where we reach the very end of it, and this is what I do nowadays instead of referencing it with professional tracks. This is a free plugin. It's Voxengo Span, and it is a spectrum analyzer, and within that you can just see all of the frequencies in your track. So what I try and usually reach for is the -30 line. If all your frequencies are pretty much in here, then your track sounds incredible. So the bass is tickling this line while the high end is a little bit sloped off over there. So technically it could use a little bit more high end EQ, but if you're choosing to have a bit more of a warmer sound, then this curve is not a problem. And so to tweak this, you would just grab an EQ. Let's put it here right before the Laidback Limiter. So I just said maybe we need more high end. So I'll just tweak a little bit of the high end and then just look at the spectrum analyzer again. So you could potentially go there as well. In this case, it was a conscious decision because I wanted it to sound electro-y and techno-y, and so a little bit more of warmth in the high ends. And there we go. There's the full in-depth process of how I made my VIP remix of my new track, Left or Right, featuring Matthew Nolan. The original is out right now. Don't forget to check out my Laidback Limiter plugin. If you're interested, check out laidbacklimiter.com and have some fun with it. Love making producer tutorials, and I will be back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Catch you back here for the next one. Until then, L's up, rave safely, and salute.